I suppose as one of the first female presenters of sports programmes on TV, it must have been a difficult environment to work in. Tell us a little bit about that.
I suppose it was. But it's funny, when I look back on those times, I don't have memories of it being a terrible experience. I have memories of it being an amazing opportunity, and of constant encouragement from the people that I was working with. There were some female role models in the office that I worked with in STV. We had a female editor of Scott Sport at the time, and but you're right, in terms of the numbers of women who were working on the television, there was one. And I took her place when she went off on maternity leave. That was Sally McNair. She was the first woman in Great Britain to be a part of a dedicated sports programme. I think Sally Jones was just beginning to do breakfast news on the sports bulletins. But that was it. There really weren't, and there were one or two other journalists who were writing for national newspapers on sport. But it was very, very, very sparsely populated. But I didn't see it as, I was not some feminist on a white charger or anything like that. I didn't have a feminist agenda. I just wanted to get on because I loved sport. We talked earlier about your passion. If this is your passion, then nothing should stand in your way. And it was always my passion. So if you come full circle to where we are now, I did sort of 25, 26 years on golf. I worked in golf a lot. And for various reasons, I decided, right, I've done that now, and I'm going to move on to something else. I've got a young family. I need to spend time with them, and it was a wonderful period in my life. But when I was trying to help find someone that was going to take my place on the anchoring side of it, there was one very obvious candidate to me, and that was Ailey Barber. Now, interestingly, Ailey had written to me as a kid, and she'd said, "I saw you on Grandstand, and until I saw you on Grandstand, I didn't know girls were allowed to do that." And I thought that really resonated with me. And I must have seen something, because I didn't obviously have the time to write back to everybody, but I must have seen something in Ailey. And sure enough, I'd seen her through various roles. She became assistant producer. And that really struck me, that the visibility of a female presence in an anchor role clearly had an effect on other people. And I think that is part of the evolution of how things change. And I never set out to change anything. I set out to do a job and try and do it well and try to do it to the best of my ability and enjoy it. And I've been very fortunate to have been able to do all of that. But that's a bonus, if you like. If people have seen that it's possible through having seen me come through, a bit naive, a bit green in the early days, still, maybe a lot of people would say, then I'm happy about that. So it's a chicken and egg, isn't it? Visibility, lends profile, lends credibility, lends acceptance, and things change.
What would your advice be to anyone? I'm not just talking about women. I mean, just there are certain occupations that particular genders seem to dominate. What would your advice be to anyone that was looking to go into an occupation that wasn't the kind of targeted or their kind of
obvious,
gender, the obvious gender choice?
Again, I think it goes back to passion. If you love it and you've always had a passion for it, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't or couldn't go into it and do it. One of my best friends from school, her daughter had a love of Formula One, always wanted to be an engineer. She was in a minority of one in her course, and she came through, and she's now working for one of the top racing she's working for one of the top Formula One teams, because she loved it. She wanted to be involved with the cars. She loved the engineering side of it. She went and she did her engineering degree, and now she's working in it. So I think it just goes back to love of it, enthusiasm for it, belief in yourself. So if you want to do it, you can do it. And that's male, female, whatever your chosen field or occupation should be. There's nothing stopping you.
You mentioned earlier on sort of engineering and those kinds of occupations. You've been involved in some work around that just now?
Yes, I have. I've done quite a few keynotes for oil industry and construction, built environment, engineering as well, in an attempt for these industries to try and encourage more women into the workplace. I think in the construction industry it was something, this was a couple of years ago that I was working in it, it was about 11%. Of the workforce were female to male, and they want to try and change things. They want to try and change the demographic. And yeah, I think hopefully if you tell your story of how things changed in one industry, there are things that other industries recognise within those stories and can try and either address or encourage.